Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday, May 13th. The internet is behaving today. My equipment is behaving today. So, let's turn down epidemic. So, there you go. That seems good. My Rodecaster Pro Roman numeral 2. Sometimes when you fool with the settings, it's the soundboard. It's this guy right here. I was kind of like looking down at it, and these right here are. You can't quite see that. You can see this piece of tape. This holds my cover on there. And you can see these dials. This controls the volume to the headphones. I can have up to 4 people, which me, myself, and I, and someone else. And so there's all kinds of controls on this thing. And I think I loused it up, 4 or 5 months ago. So last week, I hit the reset button. There's on the menus, all this stuff is so electronic. But going into the menu screen, there was a thing where you could reset it to the factory, specifications. All the dials get reset to the way they came from the factory. It's like you got it fresh in the box, except for the fact you have your most recent firmware already downloaded in there. So it was worth it, because then you got to go through and reestablish your connection with your microphone and indicate that it's a dynamic microphone, and I need the 41 volt DC low power to drive an inline preamplifier, which is necessary for these dynamic microphones. That was an engineering decision made, I'll say 15 years ago or so, maybe 20 years ago, where instead of the dynamic microphone manufacturer, you can just see the edge of it in the screen here. If I go full screen, you'll be able to see it. Let's go full screen. There you go. So this is dynamic. This is the Electro Voice Model 320, actually. It's the same microphone that Rush Limbaugh used. He had his 25 million listeners. I'm lucky if I get 25, but I get some loyal people. So I'm going to keep doing it every day at 9 o'clock, weather permitting, and the weather being the internet weather, of course. Anyway, they made a decision years ago, perhaps 20 years ago, where instead of the dynamic microphone designers, this is an Electro Voice, I have a wind filter on there because of my big mouth, and it filters out the P's. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. And the speaker system goes crazy because of the P words. This, is a special acoustical foam, which permits, the acoustics to go through there, and without distortion of any kind. If it was a low frequency effect, because of the wind interfacing with the diaphragm in the microphone. This disperses that kind of breeze. So when you're out in the wind, you don't hear the wind so much whizzing by the microphone, or the wind coming out of my big mouth. Yeah. Yeah, Saudi Arabia, I'll tell you what. Trump is over there. He's in a big signing ceremony with the prince, the Saudi Arabian prince. They got more money than Heinz got pickles. So, they're, and Trump wants investment in America. So, puts Americans to work, building plants, rebuilding factories. There are 90,000 vacant factories. So, some of those factories in the proper city, the flow of money from Saudi Arabia, is conditioned upon, the professionals that the Saudis would hire. They take advice, they pay good money for advice, because they don't know everything. So they hire people that know something about, whatever the specific investment is going to be, and what's the best city, and depending on what they're going to manufacture. And but there'll probably be, my guess is, some weapons factories, to build, certain kinds of missiles. There'll be factories to build, you can be sure, the Saudis have, a lot of dollars. So they're going to want the highest technology available. So my guess is there are going to be some factories that are going to design and build some of the most unique laser cannons with 500,000 megawatts of energy, with a pulse. Bam! These pulse generators with the laser, the laser beam is so focused, it has a single or a very narrow spectrum of the frequency of the light. You would think about it as the color of the light, which is fine, you have lasers that are in the red spectrum. You have lasers that are in the every spectrum, but let's say the green, where you see the green dots or the red dots. The beam of these 500 megawatt laser cannons, if you will, with the press of a button, this energy comes shooting through a, quartz crystal lens that can be focused to a fine point, or it can be, when you have a cannon that has so much power, it doesn't have to be focused to a small dot. It could be focused to a 6-inch circle, for example. And just burn a hole right through, any kind of a missile. It just melt it, Boom, as soon as the light hits it, the energy is so strong. And it travels at the speed of light. So there's no wind adjustment. There might be an adjustment for the curvature of the Earth. Bend the beam down, an inch or two or something, if you're shooting something that's, over 20 miles away. The curvature of the Earth is such that if you were 6 feet tall, and you're looking at, at the horizon, when you get past 15 miles, you wouldn't be able to see another person who's 6 feet tall 15 miles away. The actual Earth, curvature of the Earth would be such that, so if there's a guy standing here and a guy standing here, the curvature of the Earth would be such that you wouldn't see each other if you were 20 miles away, due to the curvature of the Earth. And the Earth, would kind of like get in the way, because the light from your eyes to trying to see the other person would be interrupted by the actual surface of the Earth, because it's curved. So if you don't see, so if you're out on your boat and you don't see anything on the horizon, that could just be because everything that might be visible is more than 15 miles away. Yeah. So, that's generally, that's generally the rule. When you're on ship, you got your binoculars out and you're looking straight out in front of you. Just because you don't see anything doesn't mean that there isn't anything. It just means that at least what is visible to you, you can't see past 15 miles per 6 foot. If whatever was, 50 feet tall, you would see, the top part of a 15-story office building, put it that way, which is about 150 feet tall. So, but you wouldn't see the first floor. You would only see, part of the second floor. So, that's how you can judge the distance of a building, for example. If you know it's a 10-story building, which is 150 feet, 10-story building. It's 10 floors, but you can only see, 5 floors. That means 5 are not visible because of the curvature of the Earth. So that's about 50 feet. So that would be, that means you're at least 75, miles away, looking at that building. That's just the general rules, I'm going there because I'm looking at delayed broadcast up here with Saudi Arabia. And they're signing agreements. I mean, this is a huge economic business forum. Government to government. The Saudi Arabia, I'm sure they're signing, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of contracts. I just saw Pete Hegseth and the Saudi Arabian minister or something, where they're probably buying weapons, and Hegseth and his staff would have to approve which weapons are purchasable from the various products that the U.S. has available to foreign governments and high net worth ministries. The Saudi Arabian prince and his family is a force to contend with, an economic force to contend with. But, they own and buy, they have all the best technology, because they can hire and have on staff, the smartest people on the planet. They're like, probably taking advice from Elon Musk. Now he builds his companies. And, there may be some very significant investments in, in SpaceX, for example. A company like that always can use cash, can use investments where they can buy blocks of stock. A board of directors can create a Class B stock. Assuming that what the public market is dealing with right now at $270 or $80 a share. I have to look up what it's currently selling for. Let's see if I can do that over here on the screen. Let's get rid of this. Let's close this baby out. Oops, that was minimized. Oh well. Do I have? Close. There we go. There we go. Minimize the my elapsed timer. And let's just type stocks. STOCK. There it is. The stocks app. Yes, I have a bunch of. There we go. Tesla's up. Look at that. Wow. So, May 12th. So today, the stock jumped from 290 to 320. It's currently about 318. There's a big pop in the stock because U.S. and China are relaxing their trade tensions, their tariffs. I think both countries dropped it down to 10% tariff on everything coming back and forth. Free trade, though, back and forth. So at $318 a share, that means that the economic value of Tesla is $1.1 1025 trillion. That's 1 trillion 25 billion. I think would be a trillion 25 billion. 1025. Yeah. Just went to 1 trillion 31 billion. Yeah. Tesla, there's no saying where that stock is going. Because they're going to be selling the hell out of their cars. They're coming out, they just announced their Model 2, which is like a car that's about 12% smaller than the Model Y, but the same shape, hatchback design. But I mean, they've got exciting new type of seating. It's as fully ready as it can be for full self-driving. I'm not sure if the steering wheel is, drive-by-wire, meaning that the electronics of the motion of the steering wheel is going directly to actuators for the front wheels, instead of there being a rod, going through the firewall and all that. So when you turn the wheel, you're actually rotating a tube that's connected to a gear set, and those actuators, affect the steering. Drive-by-wire, you don't need that pipe. You rotate the steering wheel, there are sensors, in the rotational mechanism of the steering wheel. As it passes into, the mechanical structure that holds the steering wheel in the car. So there'd be sensors, so that when you rotate the steering wheel, those signals then go to actuators directly connected to the wheels, instead of going through the typical mechanical process with a pipe going through the firewall. I don't know. I think the Cybertruck is built that way. And I'm sure Tesla probably hasn't spent a lot of time and effort on that, because they plan on eliminating steering wheels. Because these cars are going to be full self-driving. Now, some people want to drive, manually. But once they get used to, just think of it like an elevator. Years ago, let me turn down Epidemic just a little bit. Is that better? Yeah. I feel like I'm competing with Epidemic. Slow down, Epidemic. Yeah. The technology that we're dealing with today is, this AI business, artificial intelligence. It's a marketing term. It's a publicity term of the media. I was involved in AI, 50 years ago. I was a coder for companies that used IBM equipment or Burroughs equipment. I was trained at IBM to code for computer equipment of a variety of manufacturers using Fortran, That's an acronym for Formula Translation. It's a computer language when you have complex formulas. COBOL, COBOL, Common Business Oriented Language, COBOL, acronym for Common Business Oriented Language. I was more proficient in COBOL than the other programs, although I was familiar with them. I was trained at IBM to write code using Fortran. I didn't do a lot of it because I wasn't in the I was in the business community, so Fortran wasn't really used that often in business. So, there's a lot of computer systems, I'm sorry to say, that are in the U.S. government right now. OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, those big mainframe computers that keep track of all the employees and the historical employees and those, that interface then with the, their retirement systems and all that. The language of OPM is COBOL, which is, and they're still using, computer equipment that's 30 years old. If you go in there and you look at the computer room, it's like, wow, very sophisticated, but ancient history. This laptop here, I'm sorry to say, has more computing power. This iPad, right here, this skinny little iPad has more computing power than that entire IBM infrastructure at the Office of Personnel Management. This laptop has more computing power than all of the computers combined. If you could take all the computers and combine them into one computer, all the computers associated with the space shuttle and the computers that were in the ground stations that controlled, the flight instructions for the spacecraft, the iPad has more than twice the computing power of all those computers associated with the space shuttle program, including all the computers in the ground station and all the computers that were on board in the space shuttle, which there are a bunch of them. A lot of different computers doing a lot of different things. Some are controlling the rocket engines, some are controlling, the actuators to steer the ship, computers operating all the atmospherics, the radio communications between, the shuttle and the ground stations. All that computing information, all that computing power, and the computing power of the ground stations. And you see all those big consoles and all that. This iPad has more computing power than all of that combined. It's hard to believe, but it's true. As a matter of fact, my Apple Watch has more computing power than the entire computing arrangement regarding the space shuttle. The Apple Watch, 2.5 times the power. Well, yeah, it's like, how is that possible? Oh, the miniaturization. My God, just look, the iPhone with those cameras, 45 million pixels per camera. Ouch. You wonder, you guys have seen, I take, sunrise pictures, and let's see if I can. I'm a big, I've taken millions of pictures. I have over 100,000 pictures on my iPad here, which is on, and then that relays the pictures to all the other devices. So all the devices, my iPhone, my 4 iPads that are currently living, 3 of them are old, and actually 5 iPads, 2 of them are new, relatively new, and 3 of them are older, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Yeah. Turning them in, you get $150, $180. I'd rather keep them, as monitors. They're like TVs, with all the software out there these days, they're like TV screens. Let's just add this back in here, if I can. There we go. No, would you switch cameras, please? I'm talking to, remember, there are 3 people in this studio. Me, myself, and I. There we go. I like to stay on the right side of things. Just right of middle. There's the middle. Right there. Whoops. We can see, yeah, right over here. There's the middle. You cross over. Whoop. Finger goes away. Yeah. But look at that picture. Wow. That's the sunrise. Right there, you can see the sun peeking through some pretty serious clouds in the distance there. Over the horizon. Hundreds of miles away. 45, 90 million miles away. The sun. It's hot. That's you put your heat, you hold your hand up to the sun at high, or hold your palm open at high noon. You turn your hand back and forth. You can feel the heat from the sun 90 million miles away. Just think of it. Whew. Now, 90 million miles away. It sounds like a long way away. But at the speed of light, I believe it takes, let's see if we can do the math. Light travels at 186,000 feet per second. Let's get my calculator out. There we go. I think I need some help here. Feet per second. Let's see. There we go. Oops. Category. I want speed. Yeah. So, speed of light in the vacuum. I'm looking at the choices here. And let's look at the different units. So we got the speed. We got 30. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Uh-huh. There we go. Miles per hour. That's meters per hour. Excuse me. Miles per minute, miles per hour. There we go. Okay. Let's see if that's done. I don't know what I did. Maybe I just go here. There we go. Miles per hour. Bingo. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to use this stupid thing. That's 93 million. $93 million. What? Okay, so all right, I'll figure this out. Light travels at 186,000 miles per 180. All right, let's bring our calculator back again. Boy. 186,000 miles per hour equals 500 hours. Oh, maybe. All right, let's divide that by 20 days. It seems like maybe sunlight takes 8 days to get to the Earth. In other words, if there's a flash on the sun, it's like when we see it, it actually happened 8 days ago. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I remember. Anyway, the speed of light coming out of circling back to the laser cannons that I'm sure Saudi Arabia is going to buy from the United States, because it's become public knowledge that we have been testing laser cannons as a viable military ingredient that could be added to all kinds of aircraft, including helicopters, drones, those sophisticated drones that, are up flying around and being steered and driven by pilots and trailers in Arizona, where got a lot of drones. There's probably how many drones that are actually operated by pilots. They're probably, let's just say, thousands. 2,000 or 3,000 drones are flying around the planet. I think I read it was like 5,000 drones with pilots. With 5,000 pilots. All over. They can be anywhere. The pilots can be anywhere. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, at military bases around the country that are flying these drones. They're all connected into a network. And the network is, all connected together with the military equipment so that, an operator, let's say in a facility, at a SAC command base in Tampa, for example, it can pull up what the pilot sees, because the drones all have, visual, cameras looking forward, back, to the sides, 360-degree cameras, but particularly the one that's a camera that's facing front, assuming the drone is going forward. They don't travel at really super speeds. They might be going to 200, 300 miles an hour, somewhere in that range, between 200 and 300 miles an hour, between 180 and 300 miles an hour. So 180 miles an hour to 300 miles an hour, somewhere in that range. The drones, some of them are, most of them are jet prop. In other words, there's a small jet engine in there that, turns a prop, 1,000 RPM. That's a little bit, I guess. Or 2,000 RPM. Or 3,000 RPM. Yeah. I'm thinking of a helicopter. Those blades run about 600 RPM. But the props that are on a drone are probably spinning at 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, 3,000 to 5,000 RPM. Yeah. And they're at the back of the plane, basically pushing the plane. And then the pilot has ailerons and so forth to, take off, land, increase altitude, decrease altitude, turn left, turn right, all that business. And it can carry, armaments, laser cannons, sophisticated computer equipment that can steer any bombs that are dropped, can steer, the laser cannons. And then the pilot's doing all the steering and the, computer aided travel, computer navigation, so forth. A very large and sophisticated military infrastructure of people and equipment, can connect up with each of these pilots. They're issued instructions remotely from various nodes, an intersection of a lot of equipment and a lot of people would be considered a node, a base of operation connected through that node. And all the nodes are then connected to, a SAC command base, let's say, 700 feet underground in Tampa, the SAC command base. I had a coworker, matter of fact, this guy owned a company, but his son, Eddie Jr., at one point he was working, I don't know what he's doing now. This is let's say an 8-year-old story. Maybe 8-year-old story. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the number of years I've done my own tax return, because my accountant friend died. Anyway, at his funeral reception, Ed Sr. is telling me about Eddie Jr. Working for a service company. He has a security clearance, and he's working for a service company that would be serving the big screens that are in the SAC command base underground in this huge room where they had these big screens all the way around the room. I mean, these are real big screens. These are like 15-foot diagonal screens. Really big screens. Four times. No, bigger than that. 8 times the size of the largest screen you would have in a residence. Say 9 of those. 3 across and 3 down, right? That'd be 9. Yeah. That would, but it's all one screen. It's a big screen. And he was saying, he's telling his father, he looks around the room at every one of these big screens. Whether it's satellites or drone ships, you can read a newspaper from, a satellite that was focused on you. God, amazing. So what was the price of, I'm looking at the Tesla stock. So on the 21st of last month, Tesla was trading at $220. It's now $320. God, that's $100 a share increase in 30 days. Less than 3 weeks. Woo! How about that for a rate of return? That's that's a big interest rate. Tesla stock is trading at $321 a share currently. Yeah, there it is. Just happened to be looking at Tesla. Apple. 3.13 trillion. Talk about a big company, huh? Uber's worth 187. You probably can't see this. I can head it to. I think I can click it right here. There it is. You're looking right. There's this screen I was dealing with my finger. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. See, you can see me moving my finger. Yeah. I think the Tesla robot. A lot of high-tech people like myself, although I'm not as high as almost everyone else. I'm not high on the list of high-tech. I have good stuff here. I have a MacBook Pro right back here that's operating this whole radio station or TV. This mini station. It's a simulcast. It's simulcast broadcasting live streaming to Facebook Live and to YouTube Live. I paused until I, have a better understanding of what my internet capacity is. I paused. It used to be a trimulcast, including Twitter. So it'd go Twitter Live, YouTube Live, Facebook Live. But, after, minutes or so, Twitter would drop off for some reason. And I think it's because the streaming, I do testing on the networks, but the streaming is too much jitter. Jitter is like when you're riding in a real small boat and the waves are real high. And the waves get so high that you get thrown off the boat. The boat tips over. That would be my metaphoric example of what jitter is. But it's measured in milliseconds. It's the bandwidth, the signal of your streaming is wobbling through. Is wobbling, is jittering. That's what they call a jitter. They do. I mean, I swear, I'm going to do a speed test right here on this one. Now let's just do it here so you can see. Let me turn this off. All right, let's see if I can collapse this. There we go, speed test by Ookla. So we're connected to the internet. You see it's green. There was a little message there that says you are connected to the internet. I'll do this over again so you can see that. I gotta restart it. All right, now watch carefully. So I'm gonna start the speed test. I'm gonna touch that button. You can see it right here. I'm jittering it. It's right here. It's right below the 81. It's like it says speed test right there. It's right next to the Netflix icon. It's just to the left of Netflix I'm going to touch it right now. And it says you're connected to the internet. The words then go away. There we go. And now I'm going to push go. It found a place to communicate with, and I think in Miami. 480 megabits per second. Upload speed, 475. That's pretty quick so far. And this is the upload speed now. This is what I need, because I'm a content creator, so to speak. Look at that, 54 megabits per second. Yeah. So I'll give that 4 out of 5 stars. You got 475 megabits per second down and 54.9 megabits per second up. I need, I think, 16.9 megabits per second bandwidth to operate this platform. Yep. Okay. I'm just gonna, I don't know what that is. Get rid of that. There we go. Now I'm back to this window pane there. Just happen to be focusing on the Tesla stock, 324 a share. But you can see, let's say the 1 day graph. Look at that. From 310 to 324. So between 9:30 a.m. and 10 o'clock, it's 10:06 right now. This is a little bit delayed. You're up, let's see if I touch that. No. This right here, if I touch this. Yeah, it's up, so it's like 2.5%, but, it's $300 a share, so it's $6.85, apparently. It's a very volatile stock. People are trading it like crazy. These day traders. Gotta be careful. Buy on dips. So there was a dip. If you look here at the 1 week, you can see in the 7th. Let's see, I can touch this. There we go. You see, on May 7th, between 11 and 12 o'clock, you can see I'm rolling my finger. You see it's going back and forth. 273. Yeah. 273. That's $50 a share. From the 7th to the 13th. That's in a week. $50 a share in a week. So you buy on dips. That's what I mean. So when it dipped down to this level, it was $400 a share. And then it goes to $275. And of course, when you're at $275, you don't know whether it's going to crater further or go back up. But, the U.S. economy is like okay. So, I wouldn't be concerned about that. But, that's what risk-taking is all about. I have we're all cash. We don't have any stocks. the stock market is too volatile for Jimmy at the moment. All right, let's get back to our normal broadcast here, which I think I'd be looking at this. And I'm going to just close out of that one. We don't need to see. I got to get me back on the proper side here. Swap. There we go. And my soda machine went out. Died a couple of days ago. I bought a replacement from Amazon. This is the carbonator right here. The company, as you can let's see if I can visit the store. Let's go to the Arca, to the AARKE. Oh, Arca. I think it's up like in Norway or something. Where is this made? These are stainless steel kettles. Here's the Carbonator 3. Shop now. Carbonator Pro. I don't know what the hell that is. Let's see what that is. Steel glass and you push that handle down and yeah, how does that work? Let's see if we can let's explore. Alright, so you got $20 bottles. I know how to do that. Get the biggest bottle you can buy that the machine will fit. Glass bottle. That's interesting. Instead of the plastic, it's a glass bottle. I was hoping it to be some kind of video. Well, anyway, this is the one I have. Oops, you can't see it. That one right there. Same color. Matte black. Cost me because I don't need a bunch of bottles. I don't need the carbonation. I don't need that $30 little cylinder because I have a pipe. I got a 3,000. Supposedly it's a 3,000 pounds to square inch hose. So I have a hole in the counter and I bring the hose up and then it goes in the back of underneath. So you turn this thing upside down and you screw the cylinder in. A brass fitting that's up inside here, up in the top. Whoop. So I have a hose that connects right up into that top, right there. If you can see my finger. It comes up. It comes up through the bottom, the back bottom, and it goes up, and then it keeps going up, and there's a fitting right there that the bottle screws into, and I have an adapter that connects the hose up into the top of that. And the old, I have one that's like 8 years old, and it finally went kafooey. You know, one of the gaskets in there that stops the flow of gas is, you know, the mechanism's not is worn out. I guess best way to put it. So I got a new one, $183 plus tax. It's $195. $12 of sales tax on a $180 purchase. So it was about $195 to replace this thing. There you go. But instead of this little bottle, this 60 liters of CO2 that's compressed into this little bottle. I've got a 5-pound bottle of liquid CO2 gas. Yeah, but it's a liquid. It's under very high pressure, and it compresses to a liquid. So I screw that hose up into the top of that sucker. They don't really show how to do that. Okay, here we go. These are plastic bottles, not glass. But that other Pro model, I don't know what the capacity is of it. See, let's do this video. See if what's going on there. It's going through the various. There you go. You pour water in there up to the fill line. And you screw it up into this. Yeah. And you push the handle down. You're watching this video. Fill up the water. You screw it into the machine. Up into that fitting right there. Pull that lever down. And that thing that's protruding down into the bottle emits the gas into the water. And it comes through at about 900 psi. Yeah, 21-second tape. 15, 14, 13. There you go. I have cold distilled water. So that's what I put in that container. So then when you pour it out, you got distilled water with carbonation, you know, impregnated into the water, so to speak. It's like soda, you know, like soda, like Coca-Cola, but there's nothing in it. There's no color, there's no sugar, it's just pure water that's carbonated. Yeah, looking for a home. All kinds of colors. Yep. Okay. Enough of that. Bingo. Go back. I got this little guy right down there. Click my orders. I'm known to Amazon as J.L. Wilson. The many identities of Jimmy with regard to, they've canceled my account for some reason. They won't tell you why, you're just boom, you're gone. So I refiled, same phone number, same address, but instead of James, it's just J.L. James Lawrence Wilson. So it says, "Good morning, J.L." Yep, it's Jimmy. Yeah. I had to figure out what the passwords I use on this. Nothing too sophisticated with the password. It's more of them getting used to ARCA people dealing with what you need to know about things. Anyway, there we go. I like photos. That was taken last Thursday, 6:37. We got a new pope. He's born and raised in South Chicago. Go figure that, right? Whew. And here we are on the 13th. And I downloaded version. Let's see, is there any stories about that? How am I doing? Hour and 15 minutes. Congress Lady Crockett suggests the Democrats are looking to run the safest white boy in the 2028 election. She's hinting at a particular candidate that might be picked. From, and believe me, I'm not an insider with any political party. Although we needed President Trump compared to President Kamala Harris. That would have been a disaster. She couldn't conduct herself in a meeting like this with all these dignitaries. No. But one candidate I do know is the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania. That should have been her running mate. So he would have gotten some, but he's stronger than the presidential candidate. And he would have been the vice president. That would have been a little odd. Yeah. Governor of Pennsylvania. She was a senator from California. And became Biden's pick for vice president. But they just picked her. She didn't go through every primary process she tried to, get enrolled in. She never got anywhere. She never raised enough money to go anywhere. If you don't have money, you can't get to the events. You don't have a communications team. You don't have a security team. You're a former U.S. Senator. She ran. She announced and ran in Pennsylvania, in Southern California, as presidential candidate. When Biden ran for president, and she never got to the Iowa, whatever kind of a Democratic sessions they have in Iowa. But they're one of the first, and they measure stuff from that. Take polling results, from people living in their houses. There you go. All those bugs crawling all over it. Well, the airplane's in the storage. Apparently outdoor storage. Disgusting. Totally disgusting. So now that you got good cameras on your phone, there are apps you can buy that'll actually, go to the right camera lens combination, which is absurdly, look at it. standing on a balcony. And that sign says, "Life is better on a balcony." There's the Boca Hotel in the background. How about that? That's not a painting or anything. That's the actual background of what I see when we're on. That was a selfie. This little fellow right here, who's 6'4.5" or something. He's got his trusty iPhone in his hand, focusing on the selfie. Bam, snapped it. There's another one that's I need to work on. That one. Let's see if I can work on that. Let's see. Photoshop. You're all watching along with me. So I'm opening the editor. And now I'm going to scroll up. I'm looking for those selfie pictures. There's a series of them I grabbed at once. That's Papa Bear. Cinco de Mayo. 7, 8, 9. Oh, what am I looking for? Looking for a picture to fix up. This group. Here we go. Here's one. Yeah. See how the background is like buzzed out? Here you got part of the wall up there, so let's clean that up first, because we don't want aspect ratio. Just trim that out. There we go, it's gone. Alright, now we're going to go to adjustments. And we're going to come over here to dehaze. Now watch when I slide this slider, what happens to the picture. You see how the sky comes into view there? That's amazing. Now we have to do a bunch of other things. Let's just hit this. So we're gonna cut. Really lost it up. Let's turn up the shadow detail a little bit. We'll turn up the whites a little bit. Let's see if I modify the exposure. Oops. The touch screen is really a pain in the butt. Okay. I'm going to go to the saturation screen here and turn the saturation down a little bit. No, that's just affecting the... Oh, I'm only... Silly boy. I've selected the background. Let's get... There's the subjects. Okay. I get it. There we go. So now we're adjusting. We got black and white people and a color background. No, we don't want that. We just don't want them, the purple people eaters. Or the orange people. Let's get the skin color right about there. Now let's get over to the edge here. And let's kind of balance the exposure. All right, I guess that's as good as we're gonna get. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and save that one. The maximum quality. There we go. Okay, so now we can close this out and go to our regular photos. And get out of here and go to This is it. This is what I just did now. I guess this is what I just did. Yeah. It was this one. Now let's hit the auto button, see what happens. Light detail. This is the whole thing now. There's no masking with this. It's all the whole picture. What is the contrast? I think we need a little contrast there. I may have to go all the way here. Let's see if I can just increase the exposure. All right, we'll leave it that way. That's no, that isn't good. All right, that'll work. Done. Bingo. Okay. That's a tough picture. All right, we're gonna sign off for today. We'll see you tomorrow. And I don't want selfies. I want the photos for the whole day. We're going back to the 13th. We gotta go full screen. And then we're gonna quick buy. And we'll see you tomorrow. Let's see, tomorrow, yeah. Around, 9 o'clock. So you all have a good evening. Good afternoon. It's 10:45, so it's get ready for lunch.